let's go ahead and go. Okay, so you can start us off, page 120.
Gramp and the kite. Ben said, "Well, we must be still. Let's sneak up on Gramp. He just sat on that tree stump." Do I read the second page?
Nope, that's it. All right, so Ben and Will are trying to sneak up on someone. Who are they trying to sneak up on? On Gramp. They're trying to sneak up on Gramp. And what was Gramp doing? Well, that's not what the story said. He was sitting. Y'all reading ahead.
On the stump. He was sitting on the tree stump.
Yeah, 98 to 111. Okay, 121, Micah.
Ben and Will. Correct. Wait. Ben and Will crashed up by
Yeah, but what you got?
just then. Gramps scooped.
You need to go. I mean, I think it's just like a light cold.
I need
But
to
being that it's a fever, it is.
fly this kite.
But
I made
yeah, if it's already okay, taking them, that's fine. I mean, I can stay for the rest of the
a
day.
black kite.
Yeah, just be able to monitor yourself.
I took for that. Yeah, okay. I took some medicine last night, but I think I'm
Right.
up. I went outside.
Oh, yeah.
And then when, yeah, so I
Yeah.
can kind of.
I
But if you need to go now, that's fine.
I just don't wanna get real thinking, but
Yeah.
I just want to follow up.
Okay, yeah. If you want to go, that's fine. If not, you can finish it and just monitor yourself. And if it's something now, maybe I don't know if you want to go get. I don't even know if you
No, I can stay. It's just, I took some medicine, but, yeah, they don't, me going out there, cause I was fine
Well, it's
early.
you masking up, but
Yeah.
you know someone around too. So.
Yeah. So I said, well, let me just, I did that, let me just mask them just in case.
Okay, but if you're not improving, then let me know. That's good. Okay, so they were sitting, the Gramp was sitting, and so they were trying to sneak up on Gramp as he's sitting down. What was Gramp working on?
The kite.
He was working on the kite, right? He was making the kite for them. Okay, and so what color was the kite he made?
Red and black.
It was red and black. Well, it was black with red stripes. And so Gramp is speaking, and he's like, I need someone to help me. Now, do you think Gramp knew they were there?
Yeah.
He probably did. Okay, let's see.
Ben and Will gave full.
That's right.
Ran up to Gramp and gave a hug. We can help. They hurried. Gramp had a big grin. Gramp had a big grin with well, he said, I am glad to see you. Let's see if this fight will fly.
Okay, so they were excited. They were like, we would love to fly it. And so Gramp was happy about that. So they went to go and fly the kite. Okay, Elijah, 123.
Ben and Will had fun with that black and red kite. They did not let the oak tree snag it. they did not let it crash into the ship. They did not let the dog rip it up.
98 to 111. Yeah. Homes? Yeah. Okay, so they're flying the kite. They're having fun as they're flying the kite with Gramp. Okay, and so they didn't let it crash or anything. All right, 124. Brayley. Then we're done.
Oh, this is so hard. Okay, then why is separate blank pages though? This. All right, let's please. Fun day then said on the way home. Yes, Gramps said. I am glad you let me find it.
All right, good. So they had fun flying the kite with Gramp. They had a good time. Okay, so that is the end of our book, guys. Tiptoes. We'll be moving on to our next book next week, which is Stepping Stones. We have 2 more books, 3 more books remaining for the year. So that's good. All right, let's go ahead and go over our science and social studies. Let's start with our social studies, page 50. Social studies, page 50.
Bro, we bumped our head. You down there with 60 something on TikTok? Yes. Oh. We should getting ready. No, I got this ready, and then I started in Washington. I got Washington D.C. ready. Oh, Washington D.C. I took all.
Uh-huh.
Can you show us what's the
Egg tooth?
yeah.
Yeah, that's what we'll look at today.
Okay. What's that? The egg tooth that when they use the egg tooth to break out when they done breaking out the shell, the egg tooth comes off. Yeah, because they don't need it. On science, whenever we go on science. Oh yeah. I remember. It might be sharp. Miss Scrooge's. The egg tooth is gonna be sharp because it's
All right.
But if it wasn't sharp, they wouldn't get
Okay, so our next place that we visited in our book was Washington, D.C. I told you Washington, D.C. is the nation's capital city. So if America has a capital city, it is Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is historical for a lot of reasons because there are a lot of different monuments and memorials and historical things that you could see and visit while you are in Washington, D.C. So one of those things being the Lincoln Memorial. The Lincoln Memorial was built to honor Abraham Lincoln. Obviously, that's why it's called the Lincoln Memorial. It's a very beautiful place to visit. Also, we can see the Washington Monument was built to honor George Washington. The Washington Monument, it's a really tall monument, one of the tallest in the world. We can also visit the White House because the president lives in Washington, D.C., and he lives in the White House in Washington, D.C. So we could also travel to Washington, D.C., where we can see the president and we can visit the White House as well. Go outside. Thank you. Where we can also visit the president as well. Next, we can visit the Capitol, where I told you they make laws in the Capitol. That's where they make all the laws. Congress will meet there. They'll make the laws. We also can see the Supreme Court, which I'll show you pictures of all that in a second, but we can visit the Supreme Court, where we can visit the Supreme Court, where they actually, the laws that they pass in the Capitol, they'll make it official or they won't approve it in the Supreme Court. We can also visit the world's largest library, which is the Library of Congress, which we could find in Washington, D.C. as well, the Library of Congress, the world's largest library. And these are all different things. There's a lot of museums in Washington, D.C. as well that you can visit, that you could see, you could tour and, visit. So this is Washington, D.C. So we left Washington, D.C. and we went to our next city, which was Virginia. Okay, so Williamsburg, Virginia. What's special about Williamsburg is that it's another historical city. When I say historical, guys, what I mean is that there's a lot of history there. Williamsburg, Virginia is known for giving you an idea of what life was like during colonial times in the 1700s. The people dress. If you look on the pictures, you can see this is how they dress in Williamsburg, Virginia. The homes are built to look like the homes during that time. And also, you can see a lot of shops. In the colonial times, they had what was called colonial shops. You'll learn about that in second grade, all the different colonial shops. And you can see like they had the blacksmith, the baker, the cobbler, all of these different shops are shops you could visit while you are visiting the Williamsburg, Virginia. And so Williamsburg used to be the capital city in Virginia. It's not anymore. As time went on, they picked a different, I think it's Richmond, Virginia, if I'm not mistaken, but it used to be the capital city of Virginia. It's not anymore. And that's it. So that's the two places we visited on this week, Washington, D.C. and Williamsburg, Virginia. So I'll show you a couple of extra pictures of those places and pictures that I took. I've been to D.C., not Williamsburg, but so let's see. Washington, D.C.
Wait.
Okay, so I'll show you here. All right, so here's a picture of the Lincoln Memorial. This is the outside of it.
Wait.
Yes, that's a further picture of it. The Lincoln Memorial. Oh. So that's just a picture. So it's pretty big. It is actually big. Okay, and this is the inside of it. He's sitting here. Can you sit? Thank you. Okay, so this is a picture of him. I'm coming aside. I had to get off of it for a second. But this is a picture of him sitting. This is what it looks like inside there. So that's Abraham Lincoln, and they built him sitting on the chair. Okay, next we have a picture. This is so they have some steps you have to walk up to get there. It's a lot of steps, actually. A lot of steps you climb to get to the Lincoln Memorial, and that's the steps that you'll climb to get inside of it. Not that. Okay, this is the Washington Monument here. So there's like a pool in front of it, and this is the Washington Monument here. And this is another picture of the Washington Monument. Well, if it pulls up, there it goes. So, yep, very tall, very big. And they have where you can like sit down around it. Okay, here's a picture of the White House. This is a picture of the White House, where the president lives.
But it doesn't look like the other one.
And this is another side picture of the White House.
Now it looks much bigger like that.
This is an inside. This is the Oval Office. This is actually the president's office inside of the White House. So every president that we have, this is their office. Okay, this is just a picture of like, the inside of the White House. You can walk. I think there's 36 rooms, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember it completely. Sorry, guys. This is the Oval Office. My bad. Wrong one. This is the Oval Office. Well, no, that's the same thing. It's just a closer picture. This was when Donald Trump was president. This is the Library of Congress, the world's largest library. This is the inside of it. Now, think about the libraries. Have y'all been to the library before?
Yeah.
Our libraries do not look like that, right? Not at all. And so this is the Library of Congress. Really large library. This is the outside of the Library of Congress.
Big middle school.
Okay. Here's another picture here. This is the inside of the Library of Congress. So yeah, it looks totally different from our libraries today.
Wow.
This is the Capitol where they make laws. Yep, that's on the book.
the light on the blue. This is all the pictures we saw. Bottom. That's all the pictures we saw. Yeah.
Okay.
In the background is the I like
All right.
in the background.
Here is
Oh, I can't wait.
another picture. This is inside the Capitol.
Nice.
And this is where they actually make the law. So a lot of them, the congressmen from all the states, they come and sit in here. And this is where they discuss all the laws that they're going to pass. Okay. So that is what a lot of those places in DC look like. And so I'll show you some other pictures. So here is a video of inside of the Library of Congress. I'm going to show you. So it's just the ceiling. Ceiling, how beautiful it is. Really large, really big. Mhm. Okay. Capitol. Same picture. I took that. So it's the same one. Okay, Capitol. This is the Supreme Court. This is what, remember I told you where they'll decide on the laws? Sit. This is the Supreme Court building here. Yep. Okay. Lincoln Memorial. That's more of the Lincoln Memorial. Yep. So that's all of that. Washington, D.C. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and talk about science. So let's discuss science and all that we could find.
Pictures. The tooth. Yeah.
All right.
Pictures. With the eggs. Oh my God! Basketball practice today. Why did you that? You want a basketball team? Yep. On Thursday, I want a basketball on Thursday.
Are we really talking about that? We're not.
That picture looks super nice. Yeah. Which one?
Okay. That's how we sit in a chair. So we talked about the two ways that animals can come into the world. One of those ways is them being born, which that means they come from their mom's belly and they'll get food from their mom. And we also talked about another way, which is hatching. That's what we talked about this week, how some animals will hatch from an egg. So their moms will lay the eggs, and a lot of times, most of the time, the mom will leave the egg and the animals have to, they're on their own after that. But you do have some cases where the mom will stay, like with birds, the mom will take care of her babies once they hatch. So all animals that hatch from an egg, they have what's called an egg tooth. The egg tooth that they have is this special tooth that God gave them, and they use this tooth to crack through the shell. That's what they use to break out of the shell. And once they come out of the shell, once they're born, the egg tooth will fall off. So we have different animals, and there are specific animals that only lay eggs. Birds, I told you, fish, frogs, lizards, alligators, snakes, insects, spiders. These are all different animals that lay eggs. Not all animals lay eggs, but these in particular will lay eggs. So we talked about how a lot of times when the baby animal is born, they won't look like their parent, but as they grow up, they'll eventually start to look like their mom, their dad, their parent. Okay, on 56, we discussed how frogs, the process of a frog laying an egg, because a tadpole is a great example of an animal that doesn't look like the animal when it's born, right? It doesn't look like a frog. So the mother frog, she will lay her eggs. She will lay her eggs, and she usually can lay up to excuse me, she usually can lay up to 20,000 eggs. Now, I told you not all 20,000 will hatch, because some animals will eat some of the eggs, like turtles will eat some of the eggs, turtles and ducks, they'll eat some of the eggs, and some fish as well. But a lot of them do hatch. And when they hatch, whenever the eggs hatch, they'll hatch into tadpoles, which tadpoles don't look like frogs just yet, but eventually it does get that way. And so they will eventually hatch, and tadpoles will have gills, which help them to breathe underwater. That's what fish have, gills. And so then their back legs will start to come out. And then when their back legs start to come out, then their front legs will come out. And you'll see that they're going to start looking more and more like a frog. And then eventually the tail that they have will get shorter. And then now it's just their body. And then eventually they hop out of the water as a frog. And now they have lungs instead of gills. Now they have lungs, and these lungs help them to breathe on land because they don't live, all the way in the water. They do live on land as well. Okay, so that's the process of how a frog turns into a tadpole turns into a frog. Okay, so I'll go ahead and show you a couple of videos. I'll show you the egg hatching, like what it looks like as they hatch. Okay, hold on, I gotta get it to where you can see it. Okay, all right, so here we go. You can see it, Asa? Yeah? Okay, so here is the... No, I doubt you can. Oh.
What is the egg tube?
It's inside of them, like they have the egg tube. So you see their egg tube is helping them to crack the shell, because the shell isn't easy to crack.
It's not easy. It's easy to crack. Oh. Ooh. Yeah. Oh, it's breaking.
And so that's what they do. They start to crack.
What is that? What is that?
And so, yes, so it comes out on its own eventually. Okay. Oh, well, that's it. Not bad. I don't know what this is. Okay, and so let's look at how a tadpole will transform into a frog. So this is the egg being laid. Okay, so these are the eggs.
Wait. What is the break? Hour 3. Hour 4. Oh no. Hour 5. Day 6. Day 7.
Stop. You don't have to say that. We can all see it on the screen. And so you can see that they're growing inside of the eggs, and you can see they look like tadpoles. Well, that's what they are.
20 I have to look up. Look. It's trying to, oh no, that's a bunch of big. She's going in the water. Yeah, it's cold. Oh.
And so this is the tadpole.
Now I have legs. Legs. Hind legs.
And look, you see the legs, but that tail is still there. It's not quite ready yet. Gotta lose the tail.
Oh, he wanna land now. He's jumping. When he jump high. Well, when he
Okay, and as you can see, he comes out. So, yep, that's the process they go through. growing. So yep, so that's how they go from tadpole to frog. That's how that happens, okay? All right, so that's what we'll be testing on in science.
I think they have more. Chick.
All right.
Are we done?
No. All right, so good. So that is it for our science and social studies, guys. So just make sure you review tomorrow as well. You'll take your books home tonight, read and review, and our test is on Friday, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and go over our spelling list for this week. List 16, page 32.
Done for the rest of my life. No, the morning. What? Not like the morning. Will be done for the rest of my life, and I can't wait tomorrow to be done with. Today we could be done for the rest of my life. Thank you, Lord. That was just like for long times and children. God bless you. God. You know, they just say that. I just grew up. Yeah. Ah! Miss Susan, that's scary. That's scary. My face went like this. It made me go like, oh, and I just, I jumped and I hurry up and look at it. And I looked and I was just like, I just like this. Right whenever he slapped it, I do this. Why are they keep doing that? Oh, it's gonna look more for your science. Really? Oh, you better.
All right. Okay, let's go through our list. First word, the,
C-H-E, the,
come,
come, C-O-M-E, come.
I, you,
You, Y-O-U, you. Of, O-F, or of.
one,
One, O-N-E, one.
two,
Two, T-2-O, two.
what,
What? W-H-A-T, what?
was,
Was. W-A-S, was.
said,
Said, S-A-I-D, said.
have, give, do, and two. All right. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and go over our Greek and Latin. And do not talk to them in the hall. Okay, your Greek words. The first one is dia. D-I-A. And it means through. Geo. G-E-O. Geo. And it means earth. Hypnos.
Hypnos.
H-I-P-N-O-S. Hypnos. And it means sleep. Your Latin words. Dentis.
Dentis.
D-E-N-T-I-S. Dentis. And it means tooth. And corpus.
Corpus.
C-O-R-P-U-S. Corpus. And it means body. All right, awesome. All right, so that is it for today. Asa, you have a good afternoon. I will see you on tomorrow for Bible and our phonics test, okay?
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.